And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So today we are going to be reviewing The Fugitive, and of course, I have a very special guest with me. I actually have Kevin. I ended up, I ended up messaging him on TikTok and everything. I've liked his content enough to like, you know what? Let's collab because you have a very good way of actually reviewing movies. So without further ado, let's get on with the show, and I can't wait to actually dive in to The Fugitive.
Yes, sir.
And hey, man, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? That intro was fire. Damn.
Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. Everybody on
Woo.
here always winds up telling us how great and how fire that intro is. As a matter of fact, some people's
Woo.
like, can we play it back again? I'm like, yeah, we'll play it back.
That's
So,
that's what I wanted to say. I'm like, hold on, man. Yeah, nice.
but
That's nice quality.
thank you, man. I do appreciate that. And if you can, tell everyone about your podcast because you do have a podcast of your own outside of TikTok, things like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So first of all, John, thanks for inviting me. So I'm a host of the Real for Real, REEL for REAL, and been doing it with my two buddies, Isaiah and Trevor. We've been doing it since 2020, and we're just three movie lovers, three good friends. We've known each other since the sixth grade, and we just critically analyze and review movies, talk about them. We have fun, we banter, and we just have a good time, really, because I mean we love just watching films. We are definitely diehard movie buffs, and we'd like to watch a little bit of everything, talk about new movies that are coming out, but also just have some throwback and have like an indie series and talk about Indiana Jones or something like that. So we love just talking about everything, a wide range of movies. And yeah, we started off on YouTube, then we ended up converting and going over to Apple and Spotify, which is where you can find us. I'm on TikTok as well. So yeah, definitely give us a follow when you can.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I actually have all the descriptions and everything in the show notes below, so that way you guys can go and follow him, show him some love over there because he does a fantastic job on TikTok and also on his podcast as well. So we're gonna dive into the world.
Hey man, he's prepared,
So
man.
first off, I just
This man's prepared. Got everything plugged in. That's what I'm talking about, man. There we go.
Exactly, man. Don't have to do any back work or anything like
There we go.
Organized and perfectly. I'm ready to go. You know.
That's right.
But anyways, guys, this is what I want you guys to do. All right, listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Our fugitive has been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven ground, bearing the injuries, is 4 miles per hour. That gives us a radius of 6 miles. What I want from each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, in-house, outhouse, Cracker Barrel, and the movieloversunite studio in that area. Checkpoints go up in 15 miles. Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him. So,
hell of intro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But man, I just want to say this. I know that we were thinking of movies that we wanted to collab with, and you said The Fugitive. So the very first thing I thought of was like, okay, in the 90s, I remember Surf Ninjas was up at the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And then also Jason Goes to Hell was over there.
Yep.
As well.
Ooh, classic, man.
And but you know, as a kid, I remember my mom goes, well, I remember her saying this to me. She goes, you know, The Fugitive is a remake, right? Of a 1960s TV show. I was like, I was saying to myself, Mom, I wasn't. Are we having this conversation? But I remember all the backlash where people go, not my fugitive. I'm like, okay, well, good for you. But this seems like to me, I just blocked out some stuff as a kid because all I remember was I did not kill my wife, and that's not my problem. That's all I remember. I don't remember anything else other than that. But what about for you? What's your nostalgia like as far as this movie
goes? Man, so this goes all the way back to when I was young. I still remember like going over to my aunt's house and my cousin sitting down and watching this movie and me being creeped out from the very beginning when his wife is getting killed because it's like a black and white sequence and just the way it's shot, it looks like a true crime story, right? And I just always found that to be like super trippy as a kid. I'm like, what in the world are y'all watching? And then as the story went on, I was like, oh, this is cool because I was already a Harrison Ford fan. And then, you know, I didn't really understand at the time because I was too young. But the more and more I went back to this movie, I'm like, man, it is so good from the storyline to just everything that's happening, just well told. And I'm like, this is like my favorite cat and mouse movie. Like, there wasn't anything in the 90s like hidden on this, and you're just trying to figure out like what makes this movie so special. Is it the director? Is it the screenwriter? Is it the actor? I think it's the actors, but everybody did their job. But the actors are just so on point. Like everybody
I
is so good.
agree. And this is actually Tommy Lee. And now I know that Tommy Lee Jones has played in other movies and stuff like that. And also The Client was also another movie, I think.
Oh, I love The Client. Oh yeah.
The Client is another fantastic movie. I think that happened about 2 years after this, I think. It
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
95.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think that because of this role, this is where everybody knows him from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you think about it like this, Dr. Richard Kimball's a prominent Chicago vascular surgeon. He arrives home one night to find his wife, Helen, fatally wounded by a one-armed man. Kimball struggles with the killer. After that and arms his prosthetic arm, but the assailant escapes. The lack of evidence of a break-in his being the manufacturer of Helen's lucrative life insurance. So that's scene one. My thing was this, okay? So the setup of the very beginning is us caring about Dr. Kimball and his wife and how much they're in love. And when he gets the call back to go in for work, his wife actually, you know what? I think his wife deserves a gold medal for this, because no wife is going to go on ahead and wait for her husband to come home from a call.
Yeah.
And have a champagne ready on ice and rose petals everywhere. Her nightgown on the rail,
you know,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
That wife, my wife would be out. Matter of fact, whenever I'm doing like a 9 o'clock podcast, she's like, "Look, don't get mad at me. I'm gonna be in bed and everything." Okay. You know, not Kimball's wife. She's up to serve. You know what I mean?
Man, she was the real MVP, man. I was like, is it Shell's anniversary? Is it Valentine? What is going on here? She just holding it down like that? Okay.
Exactly. She was in the mood for the MD.
Yeah, right.
But what did you think? I thought that the opening thing actually makes us care about the involvement between him and his wife.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And just that little step alone makes us care enough to be like, okay, this guy loves his wife. These people are in love together. There's no way that he would go ahead and kill his wife. The guy got called into work and everything to perform surgery on somebody. And what makes you think he has time to go ahead, perform surgery, and then go home to kill his wife afterwards?
You know what I mean? Like, why would he plot that? Come on now.
Exactly.
Come on. And he already makes a lot of money. They tried to throw it in this way where, oh, she's got insurance. She's got this insurance policy, right? Oh, she's wealthier than you, right? She comes from money. Dude, come on. This is a surgeon. He's got his money. You know, like, don't even try that game.
Exactly. And not only that, but I felt like these cops were basically, they didn't care about the paperwork. They're like, you know what? We got our guy. That's it. We found DNA underneath his fingernails and everything. We're ready to go. We got our guy.
Dude, John, let's talk about the 911 call, though. That's always blown my mind when she did the Richard. She says Richard. And, you know, like they used that because his name came up, like on the 911 call. But come on now, her skull was bashed at the same time. Oh, yeah, bro.
Right. I mean, and then you also have the killer standing over her, smashing her head in with a globe, some type of snow globe or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kimball's over there calling for his wife. And basically she's saying, Kimball, get over here. I'm in trouble.
Yes.
And nobody ever thought of that. Well, you know, the guy just performed surgery. He's got his champagne on ice. He's about to go get him some. And you can even look around the apartment. She was in the mood to actually lay down the law on him. Right. And then this happened. Those police officers did not do their job the way that they're supposed to be doing their job.
Right.
And like I said, this was one of those things where they didn't want to deal with the paperwork. They figured, okay, well, you know what? We got our guy and that's it. And like you said, in the misunderstanding 911 call results in the conviction of first-degree murder and a death sentence because of it. On his way to death row on board a bus, his fellow prisoners attempt to escape. The pandemonium results in a number of dead and wounded, causing the bus to fall down a rancid ravine and into the path of an oncoming train. Kimball escapes the destructive collision and flees the scene in the nick of time. Now, okay, before we get into that scene, which is iconic in itself,
Yeah.
you see the interrogation of what they're putting him through. And I remember hearing about this, okay? I don't know if you heard about this, but that was like total improv. Harrison Ford didn't even know what kind of questions that those actors were going to ask him.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So his reaction is totally justified because of the fact of how they're asking him those questions.
Oh yeah.
But my first thing was this: I'm like, okay, you have money here. Why didn't you call a lawyer? Why didn't you lawyer up? You're answering questions that you have no business answering.
Oh
They're
man,
just
facts.
gonna, and they're already basically saying that you're the killer without saying that you're the killer.
Exactly.
So
He set himself up on every single question, especially when they started asking about the insurance policy. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, bro, come on, you know what they're doing. Like, stop talking.
right, especially when he says, well, I'm the beneficiary. I was like, dude, shut up.
Shut up. The sole beneficiary. Oh, come on, dude.
Right, exactly.
Come on now.
This is like having Peter Parker from in Ned inside the interrogation room.
Exactly.
And Ned is just saying too much information.
Yeah, man. But man.
I'm like, dude, just shut up. And then you actually have the Pepper Farm guy who's supposed to be his lawyer.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even do anything. He just sits there and let the judge
sit there. Yeah.
And he's just a lousy lawyer. I would have fired him right there on the spot. It's like, you know what, Judge?
What's the defense? What's the defense? You're not going to say, okay, it's over? All right, lethal injection?
Okay, well, well, Kimball, you know what? It's been nice knowing you. You're going to get shot with a lethal injection. Have a nice ride up there. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. But that's the way I seen it. But I'm like, dude. So Kimball was actually the result of his own dismay whenever you think about the whole entire interrogation.
Because, he didn't play that right at all.
But also, too, I like how Harrison Ford's choice to have the beard, it fits in with his character to where nobody knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
Unshaved or anything.
Yeah.
But he's able to move from place to place without being noticed. His lawyer should be fired, especially when he's a doctor. It seemed like he would have had a line of lawyers waiting at the door since he's actually rich.
For sure. Definitely.
So that was like a little small nitpick thing. I'm like, okay, dude, you're rich, you're a doctor.
Yeah. That's something I always thought about too, man. I don't know if you blame that on the 90s or what. I don't know.
Either that or the other lawyers were just sleeping and like, you know what, we'll just get the Pepper Farm guy.
Yeah, right.
Best value lawyer out there and just let him do it. But okay, let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about that escape on the bus. Because I thought that, yes. I'll let you go on ahead and break that down.
Man, so you know what's funny? So I'm also a fan of the movie Spy Hard.
Me too.
Leslie Nielsen. And you know, they definitely parodied this too. And I always think about the bus scene in that movie and how the bus is just bouncing around as it falls. But no, this is so iconic, man, because first of all, that the dude that was planning this from the beginning, when he was coughing up everything and he stabs that officer, I was like, "Ooh, it's on and popping." And it's like, what do you do in this moment as a prisoner, right? Like, this is like your chance. Somebody's making a move. Do you kind of gauge the scene, or do you just like act with it? Because everybody's got to be in total alliance. Like, all right, we're gonna take down these guards. And then when the guard had a shotgun and shot dude, I was like, "Ooh, wee." It was a pretty intense scene. Definitely one of the best action scenes in the movie. But yeah, dude, that shout out to that black dude. I think it's Copeland or
Copeland.
That's his name.
Copeland.
Hey man, he was tough.
he was tough as nails, like for real. The dude gives Copeland the nod. He's like, "Okay, you're about to do some shit. Okay, I got you. You know what? I'm in this with you. I don't know about this other dude that has a beard or anything, but you know, screw him." And so then you also had the other guard who's like, "Hey man, this guy's over there foaming at the mouth. What are we gonna do?" And he goes, "Sit your ass down. We're almost there." So even if the guy was gonna die, you were just gonna let the guy just die. But I thought also too, maybe because of the many years of experience that he has in this, that he knows that the guy might be faking. So why risk it when he's only 42 minutes away from the destination that he's supposed to be at?
You got a
So if it's
point
an
there.
emergency and everything, he just dies. But if it's not, then in that case, you have nothing to worry about.
Dang, man, risking lives like that, man. Prisoners, they don't care. They don't care.
No, they
Flipping
don't.
coins over there.
And do you think he's dead? I don't know. Let's see. Let's flip a coin. Heads, he's alive. Tails, he's dead. Okay. Well, Bob, guess what? It's coffee break time. It landed on tails. Okay, good. Let's go. But
Basically.
yeah. But I like how you have Kimball. He's like, hey, and I like how he just has that doctor instinct in him. Hey, there's this guy foaming at the mouth. You need to do something. You need help. And so next thing you know, the guy winds up coming out over there trying to unlock the door. That's when, of course, he winds up because of the collision and everything with the shotgun. He winds up basically being unconscious after that.
Yeah.
And then you have that one scene where it flips over into Devine, but then all of a sudden it jumps into another scene. All of a sudden they're on railroad tracks.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. So where was the tree at that they hit?
Oh man, John coming from my movie, man.
Nah, man, nah. I'm not taking anything away, but I just thought it was actually funny.
They
It's
they just end up on the tracks. Got to add a little suspense to it, you know.
But I thought that the scene actually holds up, though, in a sense, despite that one little small thing.
Yeah.
But I just thought that that scene where Kimball just jumps out and jumps off the track, and of course it's shot in a blue screen and everything, but still, they couldn't do anything with tiny models or anything like that either. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been that iconic, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And
of
also,
course,
too,
they had to have that 90s last minute jump before an explosion or collision or anything. It's just get out of there, squeeze out, get out of there.
Exactly.
That was pretty cool, though. Shout out to there were some really good practical effects in this movie, though.
Most definitely. But did you know that scene cost them $1 million?
That's crazy.
And 11 cameras was actually used for that scene.
Wow.
But get this, the crash destroyed 3 of the 11 cameras. So yeah.
So they really had 8 cameras then.
Right, exactly. But I just thought that, that would have been cool to see the different types of camera angles within the movie itself to see how it lands like that.
Yeah.
But just how they had the base front angle of Harrison Ford jumping off the track is really good. Then, of course, you also have where Copeland goes, whenever they escape in the woods, Copeland goes, look, after I free you, you go your way, I go my way, and and you don't follow me. I'm like, what makes you think he wants to follow you?
Like, brother, I ain't trying to follow you because you're going to be the first one to get caught before me. Trust me.
Right. It's like, look, I got shit to do. Like, I got to figure out who killed my wife. I'm not worried about what you did.
I'm not worried about you at all, man. Keep going.
Exactly. But I like how they let him go off on his own and then we get him later on to make it seem like a little bit of a B-roll movie, as if to say, okay, this is what's going on with Copeland's life. And then pretty soon his life's over with. But we'll get to that in a few minutes.
It's very U.S. Marshals like. Yeah.
But yeah, then after that, we actually have Deputy U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard and his colleagues Renfro, Biggs, Newman, and Poole arrive at the crash site and formulate a search plan to apprehend the escaped convicts. Kimball sneaks into a hospital to treat his wounds and alter his appearance. So, I like how they go up to the cops and that one cop with the shotgun, he's acting like he's the hero. I just pulled out my partner out of the train and everything. And, it's just something that I do because I'm a cop. Well, what about the prisoners? Oh, I think the prisoners died up inside the train and everything. But I got my partner out. Then here comes Tommy Lee Jones. Really? Okay, well, look what I got here. I got ankle shackles without any ankles in them. So what's going on with that? You care to rebuttal your statement, son?
So you go ahead and spit out the truth now, man. All right, one might have got away.
He doesn't mention 2 got away, but 1 got away.
Right.
But I like how these are small time cops where you can tell that they just don't care. They're just small timing.
Oh,
the point where where it's like, okay, well, I don't feel like dealing with the paperwork or anything, so whatever happens, happens. Hey, yeah, Bob, yeah, did how many people escaped? I think one. Okay, that sounds good. We'll write that down. You feel like your partner out? Yeah, okay, we'll go in here and write that down too.
Hey,
Everything
we
you said
wiping our
is
hands
actually
of this.
100% accurate.
We wiping
Right,
our hands of this. Look, this isn't our problem anymore. Y'all give that to the marshals, all right?
right. I like how Tommy Lee Jones goes, well, since do you mind us taking control of this situation now that we got this cleared out? So he goes, here, have at it, and hands him the whole entire file and everything. And then that's whenever it goes on this wild goose chase for Kimball.
Yep.
But what did you think of that scene alone with Tommy Lee Jones being introduced as the U.S. Marshal for the very first time? And then you got Joey Pants coming in as well.
Automatically coming in with the comedy too. Just him, he just always cracks me up. Tommy Lee Jones, man, just a dominating character on screen. I mean, he completely chews up the screen, knows exactly what he set out to do, knows his mission, will step over you and let you know this is going to be my case now. So I really like the way he was introduced in that. That was good.
Me too. And it's all about, maintaining control because U.S. Marshals have jurisdiction over regular sheriffs anyway.
Yep.
So therefore, they already knew their investigation shut down as soon as the U.S. Marshals come over there.
Yep.
So I like how he goes, well, Wild Earp is going to go on ahead and take the scene over now.
Yeah.
So
hey, I've never seen Tommy Lee Jones miss, man. Never seen him miss. He's good.
Either. He just comes in there like something from the Wild Wild West, and it just takes over a scene. Something electrifying about it. It's hard to believe that him and Bill Clinton used to be college roommates.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. That's wild.
It really is.
And they smoked a lot together, I'm sure.
I'm sure they did. And but for some reason, I see Tommy Lee as the one who is the one who's not partying and actually trying to work while Bill is over there trying to get his.
Yeah. Playing the saxophone to some girl.
Right. Hey, Bill, can you turn that down? I'm trying to study. Hey, Tommy, I got you like 3 girls over here. Look, Bill, I'm trying to study to be an actor. But yeah. I thought the U.S. Marshals cast is great. Tommy Lee Jones, Joe Pelletino as Cosmo, Refno, L.S. Scott, and all that. I thought they were really good. And then you have Caldwell as Pool, my bad.
Yes, Pool, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I thought the casting for this was fantastic.
Man, so good, man. So good. Cosmo's hilarious, man.
But, okay, so when he sneaks into the hospital to treat his wounds and alter his appearance, this makes me crack up every single time I see this. Because of the fact that he comes into the thing, all of a sudden he gets the hair dye, he's cleaning his wounds, actually.
Yeah.
And then there comes this nurse. And so the nurse goes, oh, you're a little thirsty today, talking to the patient. Okay, I'll go in here and fill this up. And, well, what does Kimball do? He hides behind the door.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking she's going to look behind the door. But no, not her. She goes on ahead, she fills it up, and then walks away. And I'm thinking, and she also left the guy some nice eggs, toast. She did this person up. And then I'm like, wait, you forgot to feed your patient.
That's what I was like, this patient doesn't look like he can eat by himself.
Right? Because I work in a hospital and everything too. So I'm thinking to myself, this dude he has a collar around his neck.
Like I'm not gonna lie to you. When I got older and I saw that scene, I'm like, okay, this is clearly just set up so my dude could eat some food,
Right, exactly. And then Kimball goes on ahead, takes his food. He's clean shaven now. And I like this scene where basically he's walking out of the hospital. He has his little doctor thing on around his neck.
Yeah.
And then the cop just looks at him and goes, hey, doc, yeah. Have you seen this? Have you seen a guy that's about 6 foot tall, brown eyes, and weighs 140 something? Every day I would look in the mirror. Okay, have a good one, doc.
Got to hit you with the classic 90s one-liner, man. Got to.
Right. And then he goes, hey, doc. And at that point, I thought he was actually going to be caught. He goes, your fly's open. He goes, oh, that's okay.
Every time I look in the mirror, pal, except the beard, of course. Like, yeah,
Right.
dude, it's
But I
that is
think
a classic '90s moment for sure. Yeah,
most definitely, but I think that the beard is perfect because of the fact that the producers actually wanted him to be clean shaven. They didn't want him to have the beard. Harrison Ford overruled
what?
them. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
but that I
I'm
agree.
gonna stick with it's the actors that's the success of this movie. After
Exactly,
hearing that, yeah,
because the way I see it is this: Kimball couldn't have done the things he did without shaving that beard, and he's like a
for
chameleon,
sure.
especially when he goes on ahead and dyes his hair twice in the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think that is one of the fantastic things with Harrison Ford was how much of a chameleon he was with trying to hide from the police and do all this.
100%, man. That's
So
dope.
after that winds up happening, he eludes the authorities and makes a getaway. Kimball is eventually cornered by Gerard in the leading edge of a storm drain flowing into a dam. Kimball leaps from the vegetated into the raging water, narrowly survives and escapes. But also, too, I want to point this out. If it wasn't for the cop on the stretcher that Kimball that he saved, because
He's a
remember this is
snitch. Straight up
yep.
snitch. That man saved your life, bro. Oh man. I have no respect for him at all. No respect.
No,
Screw that guy, man.
but to get this though, Kimball saved his life not once but twice.
Twice. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Because remember, he
Dude.
goes, "Oh, he actually tells them what to look for and what artery to go into just by
Dude.
looking at him." It's like, "Okay, thanks, Doc, not a problem." And I like how
Right.
the Penrix says, "How did he know just by looking at it?" And so he
Sometimes
saved this dude twice, and he still snitched.
sometimes you gotta let bygones be bygones, man. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Come on.
Like that, but if he was a killer, killers wouldn't have gone through all that trouble to try and save him.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it right there. That's the nail on the head right there. That's
Unless they're like, "Oh, he's such a nice killer. He helped save my life."
right.
But but
Oh
I
man.
so the storm drain. Whenever you finally get to it, where Kimball winds up having the ambulance and he takes it under the tunnel, and of course Tommy Lee Jones is on the helicopter. Well,
Yep.
and the helicopter is like right where the tunnel is, and that's right. Tommy Lee Jones is behind him in the other car,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh shit, they actually caught him." Then you
Yeah.
see him go into the storm drain. I'm like, "Oh, so this is what you're gonna do, Kimball."
I tell you right now, I don't know about that, man. That's a desperate situation to get in the sewer. I'll tell you that. Going to drain.
Right?
Ooh, you got to
And even
really.
Joe Pants is like, "Man, I just bought these shoes."
That's a. You got to, hey man. Tommy had no hesitation though. Straight up, I'm going. All right,
No,
like he's smart for catching that too, because obviously he didn't vanish out of thin air. So he's like, oh, here we go. He's just so on
right?
point. He's just smart, just so quick with it. Just immediately has to be the sewer. Bam, go in there.
Right? I like how
Do
he
it.
lifts it up with his foot to see if it's
Yeah,
actually loose to go down. It's
yeah,
like, "Oh, he's down here." Okay.
yep.
So
Smart
he goes
man.
down there, and then I like how basically you have Kimball trying to ease his way into the sewer without trying to make any noise, which is actually a
Yeah.
hard thing to do.
Yes.
And he goes down there. He actually does like an Indiana Jones thing. Basically, he winds up taking some wires and just trying to
Yeah.
slowly move his way
Yeah.
down into the sewer without trying to bang into anything. But he winds up banging into part of the pipe in the sewer,
Yep.
which
Yep.
echoes. And that's how Tommy Lee Jones said he knows that he's down there.
Yeah. Exactly. That's not very indie like.
No, he's very clumsy. But I like how he goes in there and then he fools Tommy Lee Jones's character, Rod, and he's behind him.
Hmm.
No, not behind him. The back. Tommy Lee Jones was behind Kimball.
Yeah.
So he winds up saying, he looks at him and goes, "I didn't kill my wife." He goes, "I don't care."
I don't care.
They were actually going to put down, "I just don't care."
They're gonna say, "I just don't care."
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tommy, for saying it the right way. That's the only
Right,
right way
because
to
I
say it.
think that would have been too much. I think less is more than
For
anything.
sure. Let's try that real quick. I just don't care. No, I don't.
Hold
It
on, how
don't
about
feel the
this? I'm
same. Sorry.
Kimball. You be Tommy Lee Jones. I didn't kill
Like,
my wife.
I just don't care. No, nope, doesn't work.
No,
Doesn't
no,
work.
it
No.
doesn't flow right. Acting
Thank you,
class
Tommy.
101.
That's what actors. Sometimes you must change the lines.
Exactly. But I'm
Yeah,
glad that they overruled him on that part. Did you know also too, I don't want to get off center here, but I did a lot of deep diving into this. But
I see.
okay, Harrison Ford told them that he didn't want to die by a lethal injection. It would be actually better for him to be having life in jail instead.
Oh snap!
I'm like, no, I think that you're better off at keeping it with a lethal injection because it gives you a chance of survival.
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
You know, it gives you
Huh.
more of an oomph to actually find the killer versus it being life in prison.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Because your life is on the line. So of course you're gonna want to try and find your killer. If you do it the other
Yeah.
way, it just doesn't land well.
Exactly. I agree. Wow, that's interesting.
So, but he says, I just don't care. Kimball winds up going all the way towards the end of the dam and he winds up jumping.
Man, that's I tell you what, when you make that decision, you pretty much are making a decision to end it, like whatever happens, happens at this point. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. That's what that means to me, because you'd rather see if you make it that way than to, get arrested again and then, end up in the same situation or worse. So you say screw it. That jump was clean too.
Yeah, it was. And I like how it's like this though. Basically, if you think about it though, it's like, well, if I'm gonna die in prison, I might as well die over here trying to prove that I'm innocent though too.
Exactly. I got better chances that way. If I'm in that cell, I got no chances.
So, I then after that you wind up having this other thing that happens where um Kimball returns to Chicago to hunt for the murderer and acquire some money from his friend and colleagues, Dr. Charles Nichols. Posing as a janitor, Kimball enters Cook County Hospital's prosthetic department to obtain a list of people who had their prosthetic arm repaired shortly after his wife's murder. Following a police lead confirming Kimball's recent whereabouts, Farad speculates that Kimball must be looking for the one-armed man. I guess you could say he was armed and dangerous. But anyway. But what did you think of the initial thing with this scene?
Man, so I like leading into that, man. I like the whole playing it as a janitor. I believe this is around the same time frame where he saves that boy, right? He
Right. This
ends
is
up,
actually where the kid is over there hyperventilating or he can't breathe. And this is
yeah.
also what gives Kimball a giveaway of, because he signs the paperwork and everything. I'm like, I get the fact that you're a doctor and you have to put your signature down on
bro,
it.
bro, hold on, man. When that scene, when I think about it, I'm like, did this man really put his signature down? Like, he really put, because he really does sign it. I'm like, this man put, oh man, okay. All right, that's
My
fine.
thing was this: your friend is working in that ER, right? So I would have
Yeah,
actually put her name down before mine.
for sure. For
And it
sure.
also shows the incompetence of that staff, though, too, because I
Oh
know that
man.
they're busy and everything, but at the same time, you have her working in that ER.
Yes, yes. Oh,
And
shout
she
out to
tells the
Julianne
janitor
Moore,
to
by the
move the
way.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. That's I'm like, all right, this hospital a little ghetto, man. Y'all got some work to do. It's too busy in there. I don't know. That's
I've
like
never
I'm
seen
out
the
here in
ER
Houston, man.
that
That's
busy.
probably like Ben Tom, man. That's the hospital like when you have no insurance, I guess. But either way, it's like, bro, there's too much going on, man. That's not you do not give that to the jet. Hey, can you help out real quick? Yeah, take him upstairs. What the hell?
This
No.
is the zombie apocalypse hospital. That's what it is. It's like the Walking
That's
Dead.
Man, dude, that's not where you want to be. And they over here
No,
making mistakes too, and he correcting the mistakes. That's how you know you don't want to be in that hospital. Come on
exactly.
now, like
But that's just to show you how dedicated he is. He's dedicated to finding his wife's murder, but also saving lives at the same time.
saving lives at the same time, bro. Yes,
So you need a man like Kimball. He's trustworthy, he's married, he loves his wife, and he saves lives at the same time as trying to run for the law. You couldn't ask for a better.
He needed a day in the city of Chicago. At the end of the movie, they needed to give him a proclamation and say, "You earned a day because we went through your track record and you've been saving people as you've been on the run, proving your innocence. You deserve a proclamation."
Exactly. But okay, so I like how he traces it down for the one-armed man, though, where he's like, okay, prosthetic arm. And he's like, okay. So then he goes on ahead, does the computer again, tracks it down to only 5 people within the city. He's like, okay, this is where I need to be. And also, too, whenever he looks at Nichols winds up saying, it's been a year since last. What are you doing back in Chicago?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like it's been a year, to be honest with you. It only feels like a couple of days since he got sentenced. It doesn't even.
Yeah,
I wish they would have actually done it that way.
So is that is that a plot hole, or do you think it just the movie moves like it's been some days? So it just is interesting.
Right. It feels like it's just been some days, but that's just like one little small thing I have against it. But that's just like a small negative when you look at Harrison Ford, you look at Tommy Lee Jones, you look at the plot, you look at Kimball, you look at all this stuff, and it outmeasures that one negative.
Yeah.
And it's a great cohesive movie.
That's a good catch too, because I forgot about that, and then you mentioned it. I said, "Dang, he did say that." That's wild.
But yeah, they don't really tell us how long that he has at the Polish safe house either. There's also another thing too.
Yeah.
So, but there's a little small things here and there that I noticed, but still a great film. But I like how Nichols is actually taken back by the fact that he's there after a year and trying to figure out who. And then, of course, Gerard's over there interviewing every one of his colleagues. So, would you help Kimball if he asked you? Yeah. Would you tell us? No.
As you progress, I have some questions for you on how you feel about Nichols and how he handled the situation overall.
Okay. Right now, or do you want to talk about that like whenever we find out more?
Actually, whenever we find out more, for the people who haven't seen it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to that.
But yeah, later. Don't let me forget.
No, I won't, because I'll tell you what I think about it, because I'll just let you know. We'll get there.
Okay.
But no, later Kimball breaks into the residence of one of the people on the list, a former police officer named Frederick Sykes. Not only does Kimball confirm that Sykes is the murderer, but he also discovers that Sykes is employed by a pharmaceutical company, Devlin McGregor, which is scheduled to release a new drug called Prozac. Kimball had investigated the drug in the past and revealed that it caused liver damage, which would have prevented it from being approved by the FDA. He also deduces that Nichols, who is leading the drug's development, arranged a cover-up and order Sykes to kill him, his wife's death, and incidental, making it look like an accident. But okay, so I thought the initial setup for this was really good, where now you actually know that this is the guy, this is the one-armed man, this is the person that set Kimball up the whole time, and it was him and his friend that did this, somebody he trusted,
an ex-cop, and your friend that you trusted. Man, this is crazy. Oh yeah.
My thing is this: was there anybody else that could have done this job besides him that would give a dead giveaway that it was like the one arm, like he has like a prosthetic arm? It was right. I just want to know a phone call. Hey, look, man, I have a job for you. Kimball, I want to get this thing approved by the FCC and stuff like, not the FCC, but FDA. I want to make sure this is actually approved. Can you go on ahead and do this? Yeah, man, I don't have anything else going on. I'm just at a poker game right now. I'll go. You call
your one-armed friend at everybody.
Because he's going to be armed and dangerous, and that he can actually take care of a good arm. I mean,
the only reason why I think he called him is because he was an officer at the time, maybe. I'm assuming.
Yeah, and he has a hand in it as well.
Yeah, right.
But that's understandable though, because of the fact that he does have his hand in this whole entire thing, where he can actually change things around if he needs to. And of course, you have that giant swordfish up in Florida, down in Florida, that they went on and caught.
Yep.
But I
Facts.
like how smart this is, though, with the DNA changing and stuff like that, with the scientific thing that makes us actually feel like Kimball that Harrison Ford is actually a doctor. So,
Yeah.
I like that whole entire thing of you have characterization within the character to where we can care about that.
Yes. Yes. And I'll hit on that point too. Like, this is an interesting movie because the characterization is so well done that both sides you're rooting for them at the same time. Like, of course you don't want Harrison to get caught, but you also like Tommy Lee Jones's character so much as well, because you're like, man, I hope he gets something out of something, right? I don't want him to get Harrison, but I want him to win still, So it's really cool that how the hunter and the hunted is both respected by you as the viewer.
Right, because we actually get to see the hunter hunting Kimball just as Kimball is leaving somewhere and
Yes.
everything too, and it makes you more frightful for Kimball, and you're wondering if Kimball's actually setting him up to follow him though too, because that was in
Right.
my mind whenever I seen it. But yeah, um, I really have to say, you asked me about the whole Nichols thing. As soon
Yeah.
as I seen the look on his face of him being surprised, not being surprised that his friend's been gone for a year, but for the fact that, wait, what are you doing out of prison after a year? And I thought I framed you. What are you? That's the look that I got from him.
Yeah. Yeah. He sure
What
did
about for
try to
you
play
though?
it off smooth though. He definitely tried to play it off smooth.
Yeah,
Um,
Kimball, whatever you want. Do you want me to give you a couple of $500 here? I
yeah.
got you. Let's go to the ATM, man. I'm sorry for killing your wife, by the way.
I guess my question to you is, so he protected Kimball in a way. So why do you think he did not just immediately give him away when he was approached by the marshals to
Because I
kind
was
of like
thinking,
save himself, maybe?
well, I was thinking that would actually rat himself out by
Yeah.
that's the first thing. It would be ratting his own self out because it's like, okay, then why did you help him if you knew he was the killer?
Right. Yeah.
Ew. So that was my first initial thought was like, you're ratting your own self out. And
Yeah.
were you surprised by the fact that he was back? And that would be another question. And basically, he would have to act like he was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. He
So,
also said something interesting. He said, I think they asked him, "Is he smarter than you?" He said, "Absolutely, yes." And I think he told them he's smarter than all of them. He's like, "You'll never find him. You'll never
right.
find him. He's smarter than everybody."
I love that line though. He goes, "You're smarter than everybody," and that's also goes to show you when he visits the other convict and everything of how much of a one step ahead that he is of Gerard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He visits the one armed man, the other guy up in the jail cell, and I don't know what this guy was doing. Maybe eating hamburgers or something, just chilling in the jail cell. I mean, the poor guy just wants somebody to talk to. Just,
So
come
you
on,
done
man.
already got me out here now. I might as well talk, entertain me.
Come on, man. Just talk to me. Come on. I just
Yeah.
want to be friends.
Right.
I got nothing else to do all day.
Right.
Poor guy. But then, as he's going down one side, then you have Tommy Lee Jones going down the other part. And he takes one look behind him. He goes, Kimball? I wouldn't have even looked at him. I'm like, peace,
Dude, that's when I
bye.
was like, oh, dude, you should just kept going. But it's like, I get it's one of those natural reactions, I guess. But you could tell Kimball thought about it though. You could tell he thought about it.
Right.
Should I turn around? Let me just see what it.
But
Oh,
yeah,
damn it.
but that happens a
Yeah.
little bit later. But Gerard follows Kimball's lead to Sykes' home, whose existence was known to Chicago Department, but withheld from the defense. And after realizing that Sykes is lying, he draws the same conclusion after looking into the files in the case again by continuing to follow Kimball's lead. As Kimball takes an elevated train to confront Nichols at the drugs presentation in a hotel, Sykes appears and attacks him. In the ensuing struggle, Sykes shoots a transit cop before being subdued. He handcuffed and knocked out to a pole by Kimball.
Hmm.
So I thought this scene was really, really well done. As far as
Oh
stunts
man.
go, and then of course you also have this one guy reading the newspaper. I'm like, oh, is he gonna identify him? Is he gonna identify him? And then he takes the paper, he folds it, and he looks at the front of it. He's like, Bye.
Yeah.
Tells the cop.
Yeah. No, that was funny, man. That was funny. Because that whole scene was funny how that played out because they're just staring at Kimball is staring at that guy. The guy looks at him, stares at him. It's like, oh man. Yeah, that was cool, man.
But yeah, he knocks him out, and of course he handcuffs him and leaves him there on the train. And then
Yeah.
my wife's looking at me. Matter of fact, she commented. She said I had not seen this movie in forever. But yeah,
Oh,
she was. But yeah, she looked at me. She's like, "Did he kill him?" I said, "No, he knocked him out because if he killed him, there wouldn't be any proof as to his innocence. So it would be
right.
more
Right.
beneficial for him to keep him alive than to kill him."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Handcuffed him. Yep. Yes, sir.
Hand, handcuffed him and then hit his head up against the sliding doors.
Yeah. Yeah, that
But
was a
not hard
really
enough to
good
kill him.
fight scene. Yeah, that was a good fight scene.
Yeah,
Feels realistic too because that's another thing. The fight choreography that happens in this, it feels real. Like you would imagine they would fight that way, right?
exactly. And
Yeah,
that's why I thought that scene was intense. This is why I felt like this was like the best thing out of the Fugitive with the fight scenes itself. There's not a
yeah,
lot, but whenever it's there,
yeah,
it's hands down probably a great the choreography with this is
yeah,
fantastic.
for sure. Yeah, and it feels realistic too. I like that a lot.
It really does. But yeah, Kimball arrives at the Pharmacon conference and interrupts Nichols' speech, accusing him of falsifying his medical research and orchestrating his wife's coincident murder and the following murder of Lance. A few months later, a colleague who also worked in the investigation and also realized the correctness of Kimball's investigation. So I like the seminar setup with this. But before that, we also have some other things that winds up happening. Two, number one, you actually have him hiding out in a safe house by this Polish family. And
Oh
if anybody
man,
deserved to be hit in the face, it deserved the Polish kid deserved to be punched in the face.
why you say that?
Because he's the one who ratted him out just to save his own ass.
I
We have
know,
people that are ratting him out
I know.
just for ratting him out.
I know. Yeah, that was because they arrested him. Like, yeah, yeah, you sold drugs to 12-year-old girls, something like that. Yeah, he was a drug dealer, right? Yeah.
Right, he was a drug
Hmm.
dealer. Kimball looked out the window and he thought it was for him, but no, it was the DEA that was.
It's like, whew, close to
Uh,
call.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And then, of course, I like how he first goes in there. He goes, and the Polish was this. You like this place? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Very nice bedroom.
Yeah.
So he gets a new place. While that's happening, you actually have Copeland. This is actually the side story, the speed story. If this was his own movie, this is how it would end. Be right. Hey, baby, look. I have a great idea. We're gonna go to Florida. We're gonna pack our bags. Tomorrow, we're gonna head out, and we don't even have to look at Chicago anymore. We'll just hit the open road. Okay, baby, not a problem. We'll go in here. We'll pack our bags. We'll be fine. Then all of a sudden, here comes homeless Tommy Lee Jones come busting on your door and shoots your ass and ruins the whole entire trip.
Man, hey, a very much a U.S. Marshals felt scene, man, and he did not hesitate with the gun either. He
No,
was this close,
wonder if
right
there's like
there.
a special agent store where basically it's like, okay, so you know what? We have this long box and this trench coat. That's gonna be for your shotgun. Here you go. Then you know what? You know what? You're gonna get what? You're gonna be the homeless guy, Tommy. Okay, okay, Todd. So you're gonna get this, and you're gonna be over here. You're gonna wind up being a drug dealer, but we don't know why you're there. But you're gonna have this on, and then you know that thing in the flat that has U.S. Marshals. Yeah, well, we're just gonna go in and have this on top on you, and whenever it rips off,
Man,
it says U.S. Marshal, and you're
yeah,
just gonna be there walking a baby.
man. That scene was gangster though, man. How the way they
It
rolled
was.
up, I was like, okay, okay. And then we had the box with the shotgun or whatever gun it was. What I was like,
Yeah, it
oh
was a
man.
shotgun.
I was like, there we go. Heck yeah, they rolled in
And
there
then I
pretty.
like how it's set up. It makes it look like that they were actually got the right place. It looks like Kimball's place,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know. And then they go in there, and then I like how how Copeland has one of the agents hostage. He just goes over there and just no cop would do this. Just goes around the corner and just shoots him, and then acts like nothing even happened.
Man, I tell you what, this dude got hold twice. So that time, the way Tommy Lee Jones shoot, now my boy don't have hearing in that ear anymore. So he got messed over in The Fugitive, and he got messed over in U.S. Marshals because they straight Robert Downey Jr. shot him and killed him. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Dude, he got messed over twice.
But yeah, let's talk about this this other thing that happens with the conference and stuff. And also, too, you also have another thing that happens where Kimball winds up calling Gerard. He winds up making him go over to Coughlин's place, though, too. Remember?
Yeah.
And he goes, now, why would someone call us and then leave this picture here? You know? I definitely like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was smart. He's always thinking ahead, man. Always leaving little clues for them.
Yeah, and then he winds up leaving. Coughlin comes in and he goes, so what's up with this swordfish? What's going on over here? And then after that we actually have that call. I like how at first everybody's trying to be like Kimball. Everyone's trying to act like this is who they're talking to, but really it's not. And he's like, okay, put this one through. And he goes, so in the sewer, you said you didn't care.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So then we also have that other iconic thing over outside the apartments, though, too, where it's like, I don't bargain.
Classic line, man. That's your thumbnail, ain't it? Is that the thumbnail?
That's my thumbnail.
We go.
But yeah, man.
I love that.
But yeah, I like the confrontation, though, at the conference itself.
Man, I'll tell you what. Kimball still handled that with class. Because I would have straight up blown the whole spot. He blew the spot up, but I would have blown up the spot even more. You know what I mean? Like, you switched the samples. You switched this. I would have just kept, you switched the samples.
I would have kept on saying that all the way up until the very front. Like, you switched the samples. You switched the samples. You killed my wife. Yeah, Kaufman killed my wife.
Bro, straight up, man.
And I was watching this, okay? You know, whenever he finally gets to the front, he goes, Kimball, let's talk up front real quick.
Yeah.
I was watching this one table where this other couple is over there whispering to him. Is like, oh shit. like
I like how you could hear the crowd, like you could hear everybody in the room, like when Nichols grabs his arm and he kind of moves it out the way, everybody's like, ooh.
Like it's a sitcom show or something. Ooh. Like Huffman's gonna get it. Ooh.
Right. But their reactions, like when Kimball walks in the door, it's just oh, because they're like, this dude is supposed to be locked up. Wait, here he is. Like the fugitive is in our conference. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what though, if you think about it though, that reaction to the audience is just as how we react.
Yeah.
As well. On how, if we would have seen this in theaters, I'm sure everybody was like, ooh. You know, I think that would be the same reaction, us reacting as the way the crowd reacts in the conference.
Man, you got to get a picture of Nichols' face, just his reaction when he sees him, like he saw a ghost. Man, that's classic.
It definitely is. And then, you know, I like how he goes, well, accusing him of falsifying the medical research and orchestrating his wife's coincident murder. And the following murder of Lance a few months later, a colleague who also worked in the investigation and also realized the correctness of Kimball's investigation. They begin to fight while being chased by the marshals and police. Kimball, Nichols, Renfro, and Gerard find themselves in the hotel's laundry room. Gerard calls out to Kimball and says that he is aware of the conspiracy fabricated by Nichols by disclosing to him that Nichols had at the files showed his car that night and the keys for his house, and that he called Sykes on his phone to inform that he had the keys.
Mm-hmm.
And this proves all his innocence. I remember also too, whenever the U.S. Marshals go over and talk to the cops again
Yeah.
and ask him all the same questions. Why would he kill his wife if they were both rich?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and he goes, and you can definitely tell that this police station is lazy. They
Hmm.
don't care.
Right.
And then of course you also have the other chief, the police detective that wants to kill Kimball, because if he kills Kimball, he doesn't have to get blamed for screwing up that investigation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
So
man. I
he
mean,
wants,
dang,
yeah,
he's got the freaking helicopter out there shooting at him. I mean, come on, man.
exactly. So he was either hoping that the helicopter would either shoot him or Gerard would kill him.
Yeah.
I like how Gerard winds up telling him, "Hey, look, man, I get it, I really do." And he
Yeah.
goes, "I thought you," and he's like, "Well," Harrison Ford winds up sneaking up behind Nichols and winds up hitting him with the pipe. And they were both going ham on each other though in
their,
that laundry room. And
their
then
faces were bruised up, blood everywhere. I mean, oh man, they did some damage on each other, especially when they fell on the elevator down the elevator shaft. Like that was crazy.
yeah, and so happens to be Harrison Ford Kimball winds up landing right on the top of the elevator shaft, and then you
Yeah.
also have Nichols who was on the bottom and everything, and he winds up getting off the elevator.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's whenever they had that fight between each other at the laundry room. But yeah, they begin. Then Gerard calls out to Kimball and says that he is aware of the conspiracy. Oh, yeah, there we go. And then the files showed that his car, okay, so that he could enter the house without a sign of a break-in. Hearing this, Nichols knocks out Renfro and takes his gun. Nichols then attempts to shoot Gerard, but Kimball attacks him from behind. Rendering his unconsciousness, Kimball surrenders to Gerard, who escorts him out of the hotel. Nichols and Sykes are arrested while Kimball is escorted and driven away from the crime scene by Gerard. In the meantime, the press gathers at the scene and investigates the new revelations, putting the Chicago Police Department on the defense on the way.
Bro, at some point you have to ask, Nichols, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? You gonna try to kill the marshal? You're that desperate?
Exactly, because if you kill a U.S. Marshal, that does more time than
Dude,
anything. That's worse than killing a regular police officer.
dude, he was so desperate at that point. He just was like you. He was in straight up villain mode, straight up kill mode. I'm like, dang.
Well, not only that, but whenever he ends up knocking out Inferno, though, too, that's attempted murder. So you're going to do more
Oh, for
time for
sure,
attempted murder now than you
definitely,
are anything
definitely,
else.
definitely.
But you know what, though? As a kid, I always thought that basically Tommy Lee Jones lets him go
Oh, okay, yeah,
and stuff like that. I always had that illusion of like, okay, he's innocent. He's been proven innocent. Gerard said that he was innocent, but the dude is getting escorted out with handcuffs on, and then he takes off the handcuffs.
I like that though. I like that. I like that
Me too,
touch.
and I like how he goes. I thought you said you didn't care.
I like that touch. Yeah, I like how that circled back, man. And I like the way it ends that way.
Me
Just
too.
roll the credits at that point. We don't need anything, you know, showing a scene where he gets exonerated and all that. Just roll the credits. Roll the credits.
I do too. I like that, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, is he getting? Now I was wondering, okay, so now they're gonna have to retrial him. This is me going through my
Oh,
own
now you're going
imagination.
deeper.
This is like me making like a side story after that. Like they're gonna have to do a retrial on him, and then they're gonna have to do a whole entire another investigation on Nichols, on the other police captain, and then try to set Kimball free. Then I was like,
Then
well,
they give him some charges for escaping.
right. To prove his own innocence, which sucks. And I was also, did he go back to jail to die? Or did, so I'm like, but still, I thought this film still holds up today. I thought this is iconic. This is a great film. It's very quotable. Tommy Lee
Yeah,
Jones is at his A game on this movie. So was Harrison Ford. Fantastic film. I think that this is actually a great thriller, great movie on The Fugitive.
I'm glad you liked it again, man. After a rewatch, that's good. I was a little worried because I was like, I know it's kind of old, y'all, but wanted to.
No, like okay, I'm an '80s kid, right? So
Oh, I love the '80s. Okay,
me
there we go.
too. Like I was born in '85, so I
Okay,
was around whenever this movie came out. I never seen it in theaters or anything like that, but I knew about the
yeah,
One Armed Man. I knew about the spoof movies. I knew all about that stuff, right?
yeah,
But as a kid, I had it on VHS, but I never really understood it. I was like, okay, my parents are watching this porn.
yeah,
Then, because I'm like, I want to watch Surf Ninjas.
yeah, right.
I didn't. So then, growing up, I just never went back to revisit it up until now, where I can actually
And that's what I
appreciate it.
think. Yes, exactly. That was my appreciation for it. So, like you said, when it came out initially, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know what was happening on screen. I knew I saw stuff and it looked cool, but I kept just going back to it over the years, and I was just like, "Oh, this is good. This is good." And then, as watching it as a full fledged adult, it's like, "Yes, I've confirmed I love this movie. Yes."
Right? And of
It's kind of
course,
one of
it's very quotable, especially when Jim Carrey quotes it on The Cable Guy. Goes, "It wasn't me. It was the one armed man."
those. Yeah.
But yeah,
Man, yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember that, man. That's awesome.
thanks, man. But yeah, that's pretty much everything as far as the fugitive goes. But my question is though, for you, like, do you have anything going on your podcast or anything like that, or anything that you want to share?
Oh man, so yeah, I mean, we've taken a break for a couple of weeks. We're going to be starting back in October. We actually have never really even taken a break before, so that's why we decided let's go ahead and take a break. Everybody's been busy, get your work life going, and then we're going to start back going into the beginning of October. And yes, we're going to be starting back up. Like I said, y'all definitely subscribe to us on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, at Real for Real, and yeah, we're gonna be cranking back up soon, and we'll have to get you on there,
Awesome.
John, for sure. Appreciate you
Yeah, I
inviting me.
would. I would love to be on your show. To be honest with you, the vibe that
Appreciate
you
it, man.
have and the vibe that we have going and everything, I would
Yeah,
definitely enjoy being on
yeah, man, definitely. Let's do it. Let's make it
there.
happen.
Right, let's do it. So tomorrow night, I'm going to be interviewing a producer and director for their short film Dixieland. Dixieland stars Tony Todd and AKA Candyman. And let me just tell you this: the movie is fantastic. It only clocks in like 30 minutes, and there's a lot of detail within the movie itself. This was played at the Holly Shorts Film Festival this year, and it got some buzz. As a matter of fact, I actually interviewed the same director about 2 years ago for his other short film called Alone. And if you want to actually take a look at Alone and everything, check out my Dixieland review that I did. Check out Alone. And that's going to be a non-spoiler review. And of course, Dixieland is also a non-spoiler review as well. So that's going to be it as far as the show goes. But Kevin, man, don't be a stranger around here. I would love to have you back on here again to review some movies and stuff. Keep up the awesome work over on your TikTok and also, of course, on your podcast as well.
Appreciate it, man. Good looking out.
Anytime.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Feel free to stay in the green room for a minute after we get done logging off and everything. It'll be great to have you just to talk one last time before we exit out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Okay, man.
let's do it.